3 months back, I saw my folks smash a golf club right through some random guy's den, convinced they were wrecking my world. Little did I know, they were actually giving me the best present ever. One I didn't even realize I craved. Liberation from those who were meant to cherish me above all. I'm Emily, and I've got to share the tale of the moment I learned that the most poisonous folks in your circle can be the ones tied to you by blood. It kicked off with 130,000 and a supper gathering that flipped my entire existence upside down. To grasp why that cash nearly tore me apart, though, I've got to rewind about 6 years, to a time when I still thought family bonds equaled unwavering devotion, and affection was meant to come without strings. Back then, I was 27, crammed into a tiny one-room flat that felt more like a storage unit than a home. For 3 solid years, I'd rise in that squeezed spot and drill into my head the reasons behind my grind. Why I scarfed down ramen noodles most nights. Why I hopped on public transit rather than splurging on a vehicle. Why my wardrobe came from second-hand shops and my birthday treats were discount bakery muffins. 130,000, that's what independence symbolized for me. Sufficient funds to snag a cozy home. A spot that was entirely my own. Each buck stood for a tough call, a cutback, a goal pushed back but never ditched. Endless evenings poring over spreadsheets until my vision blurred. Side gigs on holidays while buddies hit the town. It paid off because I'd spotted it, the ideal two-story bungalow with polished oak planks and a breakfast nook that soaked up the dawn rays like warm honey. Every Friday evening, I'd head over to my parents' place for our ritual get-together. Mom would whip up her signature pot roast, rich with herbs and slow, cooked to perfection. Dad would grumble about his aching knees, but secretly relish having his girls under one roof. And Jessica, my elder sibling by 4 years, would arrive with Michael, her spouse, who was forever pursuing the latest quick-buck hustle that promised riches without real effort. One crisp September Friday stood out from the get-go as I stepped inside. There was this buzz in the atmosphere, a vibe that hinted at major news brewing. Jessica and Michael huddled in the kitchen, murmuring like plotters in a spy flick. Mom kept darting glances my way, a mix of thrill and scheming. Dad avoided my gaze while ranting about the noisy kids next door. I was so wrapped up in my own buzz that I missed the red flags. I'd snapped photos of the bungalow on my device, eager to spread my excitement with those who should cheer my wins. Jessica's got some exciting updates, Mom declared as we gathered at the oak table. Her pitch had that familiar ring she used when gearing up to request something big. What unfolded next still twists my gut when it crosses my mind. Jessica didn't merely announce her fresh enterprise idea, she launched into a full-blown pitch. Glossy brochures, colorful diagrams, forecasted earnings, competitor breakdowns. This marked her 4th stab at being her own boss. Evidently, the prior 3 flops, which had pushed my parents to dip into their savings and rack up loans, hadn't taught her a thing. I've grown from those setbacks, she claimed, her gaze sparkling with that risky blend of urgency and fantasy I'd witnessed far too often. Now, I've got it all mapped out. I only require startup funds for product creation and promotion. Michael bobbed his head next to her, the ideal backup player, nailing his part. The estimates indicate we might triple the input in under 3 years. That's when their eyes locked on me. Not fleeting peeks, but pointed, hopeful stares that sent a chill down my spine. "What's with the stares?" I questioned, though a piece of me sensed the trap. Jessica switched to that honeyed, coaxing voice she'd honed since childhood. "Well, I heard you're stashing away for a place, and Mom let slip you've got around 130,000 tucked aside." The space fell hush, save for my pulse thumping like a drum. They'd chatted about my savings. They'd tallied my value. I wasn't kin, I was a handy cash dispenser with blood ties. I'm not sinking my home fund into your venture, Jessica. I snapped. Sharper than planned, but the nerve of it floored me. This wasn't a sibling lend a hand, it was my whole tomorrow on the line. They expected me to bet on Jessica's history of epic flops. Jessica's expression folded like I'd slapped her. But if you back me, in 3 years, I'll return $390,000. You could snag a mansion then. I let out a bitter chuckle. The sheer ridiculousness, the lady who'd tanked enterprises thrice, urging me to entrust my nest egg to her on mere hope and inflated charts. Jessica, you've bombed at this 3 times already. Perhaps it's time to ditch the dreams and land a steady gig like everyone else. Chaos erupted. Jessica dissolved into sobs and bolted from the room as if we were kids in a spat. Michael branded me cold-blooded and trailed her, and my parents, the duo who'd nurtured me, ostensibly adored me without limits for 27 years, swiveled on me like I was the antagonist. How dare you wound your sister like that? Mom's tone was frosty, slicing deep. Jessica's got more potential than you ever will. You're just envious of her drive. Drive? I nearly yelled. What drive? The 3 collapses, the bill collectors hounding their line day and night, the worry that landed Dad in therapy for anxiety spells. But Dad landed the fatal strike. Hand over that cash to Jessica, or you're cut from this clan. I gaped at these imposters in my parents' skins, grasping that I'd never been a true child to them. I was a pulsing wallet, a tool to exploit as needed. I'm keeping my money, I murmured. Then leave our home and stay gone. So I did. I strode out, cruised back to my snug flat, and swapped my contact info the following day. If they aimed to erase me over dollars, I'd seal the deal. 2 years on, I claimed that bungalow. The very charming 2-story with oak floors and sunlight dancing in the breakfast nook. I arranged my workspace in the extra room and tasted real serenity. No more Friday suppers tiptoeing around egos. No more enduring Jessica's wild schemes. No more serving as a family cash machine for those meant to treasure me. Via shared acquaintances, word reached me that Jessica's venture had thrived this round. She grabbed a sprawling estate, jetted around with Michael, flaunting their opulent escapades online. I was sincerely glad for her, yet harbored no remorse for safeguarding my finances. For 6 years, I thrived sans them. 6 tranquil hassle-free years where I climbed the ladder at my job, embraced solitude, and crafted an existence that rang true. I even crossed paths with Daniel, this amazing guy from a work conference. He resided across state lines, but we nailed the distance because he embodied all my kin lacked. Compassionate, reliable, encouraging, a soul who prized me for me, not my utility. Daniel would fly in, I'd trek to him, and we delved into talks of merging lives. I pondered listing my bungalow to relocate near him and launch anew with a partner who truly prioritized my joy. Then, on a Wednesday dawn that dawned ordinary, an alert pinned that appended it all. It hit my seldom checked old inbox. The from line nodded my insides mom. Emily, we must meet ASAP. This concerns survival. Please return. Despite the scars they'd reared me, if illness struck, Dad's ticker failing or Mom battling disease, I owed it to know. So I replied curtly, Saturday works. Saturday morn, I idled in my ride outside their pad for 15 minutes, stealing nerves. The block seemed dingier than memory painted, more worn, but the duo of luxury rides in the drive snagged my eye. Jessica's sleek Audi and Michael's gleaming BMW, both screaming wealth. This wasn't solo parental, it was a full ambush. Mom swung the door, appearing warier, etched with fresh creases framing her eyes absent 6 years prior. Emily, she quavered, voice thick with feeling. Grateful you showed. The crew was lined up in the den like a warped family special. Dad in his recliner, stern-faced, Jessica perched beside Michael on the sofa, her lids puffy from tears. They beamed at my sight, yet dread lurked. What's the emergency? I queried, remaining upright to avoid settling. Your message screamed dire. Mom's eyes welled instantly. It's Jessica. She's in deep water. I eyed my sibling, who shade from my gaze. Michael clutched her palm as if anchoring her. What sort? Dad coughed. Her company cratered 4 months ago. Lenders seized her pad. She owes big to shady types. That old brew of justification and pity stirred. Justification for nailing her odds spot on. Pity because homelessness bites, even self-inflicted via dumb moves. Tough break. I responded measuredly. But how's this my issue? Jessica whispered. 180,000. To whom? Michael chimed. Underground lenders. Not the forgiving sort. Jessica wept anew. They're phoning warning. They track our spot, our habits. We're terrified, Emily. Truly, sympathy tugged sure. But confusion reigned on my role here. Awful. Yet I fail to see my part. Dad detonated the news. We know of your bungalow. Solid one. Sell it to clear Jessica's slate. I blinked like she'd sprouted horns. Have you lost it? You're youthful, Mom pressed on. Rebuild's easy for you. Jessica and Michael risk harm without repayment. I scanned the faces. These ghosts from my past who'd ditched me 6 years, declared me non-kin, never checked my pulse. Clarify, I drawled, icing over. You booted me 6 years back for refusing Jessica funds. Now her flop's epic, debts to thugs, and I should liquidate my home. Kin supports kin, Dad intoned flatly. Kin? My laugh echoed hollow. You revoked that. Recall. Total radio silence. Jessica's cries amplified. We erred then, but this is life-threatening. No mere lawsuit. These folks mean business. Then ponder that borrowing from crooks. Michael flared. You can't fathom our strain. True, but those fancy wheels outside. Sell 'em first. We require them for gigs. Jessica barked. More than safety. The loop dizzied me. They begged I shatter my stability for their chaos. Sends personal cuts. Mom neared, pleading. Your bungalow sale covers Jessica's tab with surplus for a condo. A condo. Rage boiled. Mom, I slaved for that place. Pinched pennies endlessly. Lived sparse to earn it. No way I fix Jessica's wreck. She's blood, Dad urged. She's adult, owning her flops. Jessica leaped up. You ought to aid me, care for my fate. Where was that 6 years ago when you exiled me? Different. Mom claimed. How? You ignored my security then. I ignore yours now. Silence blanketed. They gawked like I was the monster. I'm out. I declared. Jessica dug this hole, she climbs out. Want to rescue? Sell yours. Mom recoiled. Our sole asset. We're aged, Emily. Can't reboot. Then you get my stance. I headed doorward. Jessica yelled. Big error. These guys play rough. I pivoted. So do I. I departed, drove home lighter than oons. Upon arrival, I zapped Mom's email. Done eternally. Peace reigned a fortnight. Daniel rang daily, bolstering. Right call. Can't reappear post, 6 years demanding fixes. I warmed to my choice. Jessica's woes stung, but not mine to shoulder. My life beckoned. Then Thursday dawn shattered norms. Brewing tea in my nook, eyeing a busy shift. A vehicle thud echoed. Peering out, my cup nearly slipped. Folks marching my path like proprietors. What the hell? I demanded at the threshold. Address source. Mom smirked. A detective. For real. Dad scanned my abode appraising. Fine digs. Off my land. But Mom shoved in. Dad tailing. Stunned by gall, I froze. Don't nest, I warned. You're exiting? Mom toured my space, fingering items, assessing like an inspector. Sale nets Jessica's payoff plus condo funds. Told you no. Such expanse. Dad gestured. Solo you? Waste. My needs ain't your concern. Mom teared. Jessica's petrified. Calls yesterday. They know her hideout. And month deadline or else. Police then. Dad scoffed. These ignore laws. Frustration peaked. Still not mine. Leave. Not till you consent. Mom folded arms, calling cops. Phone out, dialing. Dad grip. Release? I shook free. Out or I finish. They saw resolve. Mom sobbed louder. Okay, but unfinished. Jessica's harm. If I tank for her, mine too. This way, culprit faces music. Dad jabbed. Regret awaits. Can unites? Not 6 years ago. Post-exit, I phoned my agent on potential sale for Daniel move. Emily here. Market talk. Speed sell 7% cut if quick. Timely. Buyer eyes your zone. Discount seals. 4 days offer rolled. Below hopes but swift fare. Snapped it. Daniel puzzled. Haste why? Recounted intrusion threats linger refusal. Distrust them. Harassment looms. Maybe worse. Sell, secure cash hidden wise plus, you join me sooner? Grinned first in days, frash yours while hunting, joking. Dreamed this. Clothes zipped fast. Week later, doc signed sold. Daniel aided pack relocate, his presence eased. Loading final crates I glanced back. Joy dwelled there hard-earned. Yet sale felt right. New page with Daniel, no kin leverage. Fine, Daniel hugged. Yeah, let's roll. Drove off burden shed. Jessica's mess. Hers alone. Free at last. Daniel's pad proved cozy, inviting. Remote work slotted seamless. Evenings house, hunting online, future plotting. First time in ages, bliss reigned, tension nil. A month in, phone buzz Tuesday morn. Unknown. Old Emily Jones. Yes, who? Officer Thompson, Oakwood PD, re-parents Robert and Karen Jones incident. Ice veins. Arrested yesterday B&E vandalism. Victim presses, baffled. Where? Your ex-address 5223 Elm Lane years once. Sold month back. Why there? Investigating. Major wreck trash decor, shattered panes, graffiti slurs. Owner returned to them swinging club at his sofa. Sank to Daniel's couch. Legs jelly. True. Deadly. The 50,000 damage est. They insisted it remained yours. Payback for family desertion. Spilled all Jessica debts. Uninvited drop 6-year saga. So unaware of sale. Clearly. Vandal revenge on me. Hit innocent. Matches. Post-call. Briefed Daniel. Shocked. Madness. Emily. Could have died if owner armed. Hadn't pondered. Folks risked death over grudge. Weeks on updates via PD pals on case. Plea guilt admit no jail, but $50K restitution plus fees, totaling $75K. Pal Sarah rang with deets. Emily, folks sold home. Only way, irony floored, their irreplaceable asset gone. Post pays, left over to Jessica for debts. So they mirrored their demand, their pad instead. Twist Jessica's threats. Bogus. Legit firm, lawsuit threat only, no violence. Jessica faked peril, duped all, parents included. Where folks now? Cramped rental with Jessica Michael. 2, bed for 4, constant clashes. Months later, Grapevine buzzed family sought contact via friends. Apologies, explanations, bridge mend. Each pitch, I declined. Sarah rang again. Mom says sorry, admitted wrongs, bad calls. Too tardy. 6 years indifferent to my existence. Then demand ruin for Jessica. Then crimes for refusal. Done. But blood, Emily? No. Blood doesn't stalk via PI. Demand cash. Smash homes denied. Daniel overheard. Post hang. Hand squeezed. Okay, superb. And was. Found dream home. Offer prepped. Job soared. Promotion landed. No drama drag. He beamed, heart flutter look. House, wise thinking bigger offer. Kneeled, ring out. Emily, marry me. Buy together, launch, dreamed life. Joy, tears. Yes, totally. Engaged that day, offer weekend, accepted swift. Wedding next year, yard ceremony, doubts flicker on cutoff. Last seconds, recall peace sans manipulation. Jessica Broodwas via flops, no lessons. Folks enabled, shirk consequences. Harassed me adult style. Crimes on refusal. I picked love unconditional. Secured finances sanity. Surrounded by non-manipulators. Better choice. Daniel and I wedding deep. Kid talks, spring garden dreams. Career blooms unimaginable. Daily wake happy, peaceful content built. Impossible dragged back. No future sacrifice for dysfunction. No regrets. Zero. Sometimes supposed unconditional lovers impose harshest terms. Walking from toxic kins, self-love pinnacle. Toughest walls free us. Freedom worth every cost. Thanks for hearing. If resonated, pass on. Comment, subscribe for more on self-choice when none will. Created families often trump birth ones. To expand this narrative and make it substantial, let's delve deeper into my early years, because understanding the roots of this family dynamic really paints the picture of why things escalated the way they did. Growing up in a modest suburban home, I was the younger daughter, always in the shadow of Jessica's bold personality. From the time we were little, Jessica was the star, the one who charmed everyone with her big ideas and infectious energy. I remember being 5 years old, sitting in the backyard while Jessica, at 9, organized a neighborhood lemonade stand that turned into a mini festival with games and prizes she borrowed from our garage. Mom and Dad praised her endlessly for her initiative, even when it meant cleaning up the mess she left behind. Me. I was the quiet one, the reliable helper who stacked the cups and counted the change, but rarely got the spotlight. One vivid memory from childhood that foreshadowed everything was when I was 10 and saved up my allowance for months to buy a new bike. I'd mowed lawns, walked dogs, done every odd job a kid could to earn that 100. Jessica, 13 then, had wrecked her own bike racing down a hill she wasn't supposed to, and instead of making her earn a replacement, my parents dipped into my savings without asking. "Family shares, Emily," Mom said when I confronted them, tears streaming down my face. "Jessica needs it more right now." That was the patterns. Jessica's needs always trumped mine, her mistakes forgiven, her dreams funded at my expense. It taught me early that love in our house came with a price tag, and I was often the one paying it. As teenagers, the favoritism grew more pronounced. Jessica flunked out of her first year of college because she partied too hard and skipped classes, but Mom and Dad covered the tuition loss and enrolled her in a new program, calling it a fresh start. Meanwhile, I worked 2 part-time jobs through high school to afford community college, graduating with honors but no fanfare. "You're so independent, Emily," Dad would say, like it was a compliment, but it felt like an excuse for their neglect. Jessica's first business flop came right after she married Michael. A boutique clothing store that tanked because she overstocked trendy items that went out of style overnight. Parents bailed her out with 20,000 from their retirement fund, never once asking me if I needed help with my student loans. These memories flooded back as I sat in my tiny apartment those years ago, scrimping and saving. I'd chosen a career in data analysis because it was stable, paid well, and let me work from home most days. But stability didn't come easy. There were nights I'd stare at my bank app, watching the balance creep up by 50 dove here, 100 there, after freelancing on data visualization projects for small businesses. One particularly grueling week, I pulled 3 all-nighters debugging a client's database, my eyes stinging from the screen glare, just to add 500 to my fund. Friends invited me to concerts or weekend getaways, but I declined, citing work deadlines, when really it was about not dipping into savings. "Come on, live a little," my buddy Sarah would tease, but she didn't understand. The bungalow wasn't just a house. It was my symbol of breaking free from the cycle of being the family's safety net. The Friday dinners were a mixed bag. On good nights, we'd laugh over old stories, like the time Dad tried to build a treehouse and it collapsed under Jessica's weight during her adventure club phase. Mom's pot roast would fill the air with savory aromas, and for a moment I'd forget the undercurrents. But more often, the conversations veered into Jessica's latest ventures. "This one's a winner," she'd proclaim, eyes wide. Michael would nod vigorously, his enthusiasm as scripted as an infomercial. That fateful September evening, as I walked in carrying a bottle of cheap wine as my contribution, the tension was palpable. Jessica had set up a makeshift presentation board in the dining room, complete with sticky notes and pie charts drawn in marker. After Mom's announcement, Jessica launched in. Picture this: an app that connects local artisans with buyers, Like Etsy but hyper, localized with AR try on features. She flipped through pages, quoting market research she'd probably Googled that morning. The growth potential is huge, projected 300% ROI in the first year alone. I listened politely at first, nodding along, but when she got to the funding ask, my stomach sank. I need 130,000 to develop the prototype and launch marketing campaigns. Her eyes flicked to me, and the room's focus shifted. When I refused, the fallout was immediate. Jessica's tears were theatrical, streaming down as she clutched Michael's arm. "How can you be so selfish, Emily? This could change our lives!" Michael jumped in, his voice rising. "You're sitting on that money doing nothing. At least let it work for the family." Mom's words cut deepest. "We've always supported you, Emily. Now it's your turn." Supported me. I wanted to retort with examples. The bike, the college funds, the endless times I'd been sidelined. But I held back, knowing it would escalate. Leaving that night, the drive home was a blur of anger and hurt. I stopped at a park, sat on a bench under streetlights, and let the sobs come. How could they see me as nothing more than a resource? The next day, changing my number felt like shedding skin. I informed a few close friends, like Sarah, who was appalled. "Good for you, Em. They've treated you like crap for years." She became my sounding board, helping me process the grief of losing my family while celebrating small wins, like treating myself to a real birthday cake for the first time in ages. The 2 years post-cutoff were transformative. I threw myself into work, landing a promotion to senior analyst after spearheading a project that streamlined our company's data processes, saving them thousands. Weekends, instead of family dinners, I joined hiking groups, discovering a love for nature that cleared my mind. One trek, I met a group of women who shared stories of their own family estrangements. It was validating to know I wasn't alone. "Blood doesn't define family," one said, and it stuck with me. Socially, I built a circle, coffee dates with Sarah, book clubs, even volunteering at a local shelter where I mentored young adults on financial literacy, drawing from my own saving saga. Buying the bungalow was a pinnacle moment. The day I closed, keys in hand, I walked through empty rooms, envisioning my life. I painted the walls a soft blue, hung art from thrift finds, and set up a garden in the back. Tomatoes, herbs, flowers that bloomed vibrantly. Mornings, sunlight in the nook became my ritual, sipping coffee while planning my day. No drama, just peace. Word of Jessica's success filtered through. Her app apparently took off after she pivoted to eco-friendly products. Sarah showed me the social posts. Yachts, designer bags, exotic trips. "Jealous?" she asked. "Not a bit," I replied honestly. Her win didn't diminish mine. Then came Daniel. We met at a virtual conference on data ethics, bonding over a panel discussion. Our first call lasted hours, debating AI biases with laughs interspersed. He was in marketing for a tech firm, grounded yet ambitious, with a dry wit that matched mine. Long distance started with video dates, cooking the same recipe apart, watching movies sensed. His visits were highlights exploring my town, lazy Sundays in the bungalow. "This place suits you," he'd say, admiring the garden. Talks turned serious, marriage, kids, blending lives, move here or me there. We'd ponder. I leaned toward selling, excited for a fresh start. The email shattered that calm. Reading it, old wounds reopened. Driving to their house that Saturday, I blasted music to drown doubts. Inside, the ambush unfolded. Jessica's story poured out. Business collapse from market shifts, debts to investors, who turned aggressive. They showed up at our door last week. Michael added dramatically, demanding payment or else. Mom's plea for me to sell hit like a punch. "Think of your sister," she urged. The argument circled, their insistence on family duty, my reminders of past abandonment. "You chose Jessica over me once," I said. "Now choose yourselves." Leaving, resolve hardened. Post-visit paranoia set in. What if they escalated? I confided in Sarah over lunch. They're unhinged, she said. Protect yourself. Daniel agreed on calls. Sell if it brings peace. The intrusion days later confirmed fears. Their barge in, appraising my home like auctioneers, sparked fury. This could fetch $400K easy, Dad mused. Mom's tears manipulated, for Jessica's safety. The cop threat worked. They left, but damage done. Selling rushed. Agent excited, Tash buyer, quick close. Packing with Daniel, we shared stories. His stable family contrasted mine, making me grateful. You're building better, he said. At his place, adjustment was smooth. We cooked together, him teaching me grilling tricks from his dad. House hunts became adventures, virtual tours, debating layouts. This one has a perfect office for you, he'd point out. The police call blindsided. Officer Thompson's details horrified. Parents rampage in the wrong house, thinking it mine. They ranted about betrayal, he said. Spilling the backstory felt cathartic. Updates revealed their plea, restitution burden leading to their sale. Sarah's scoop on the fake threats infuriated yet vindicated. Jessica played them all, she said. Attempts at reconciliation via proxies, firm no's. They crossed lines, I told Sarah. With Daniel, life blossomed. Engagement in our living room, rings sparkling. House offer accepted, spacious yard for weddings, gardens. Planning intimate ceremony, vows under oaks we'd plant. Career-wise, I led a team now, mentoring juniors like I'd wished for. Reflections hit during quiet moments. Childhood favoritism bred resentment, but cutoff birthed growth. Added scenes therapy sessions post, cutoff, unpacking patterns. New dialogues with Daniel, deep talks on boundaries. Examples helping Sarah through her own family issues, reinforcing my path. Freedom's price, paid gladly.